So I realize this may not be your favorite topic of discussion.
That's okay!
It may intimidate some of you. It may bore some of you. It may just take too long to add something else to your already busy plate, but it is one of the top stressors of relationships and marriages in our country. And ladies, I am not talking about golf. Let's talk about money. As a financial advisor, I talk about money all the time. It can be stressful. And I manage nearly $1 billion, which is a lot of money. But the women in this country as a whole, we are in control of over $10 trillion. And before the end of this decade, that number is set to triple, $30 trillion. It's an enormous amount of money. It's more than the entire GDP of the United States. It's more than 25 times the annual revenue of Apple, Amazon, and Microsoft combined. But where is all this money coming from? Men, close your ears. They control it now, but they're all gonna die before we do. Kidding, sort of, but we'll come back to that. You can listen again, men. So this $30 trillion is coming as part of the largest transfer of wealth that our country has ever seen. The last time anything even close to this happened was around 2010, when the baby boomer generation was on the receiving end of their inheritance. And the money that they got was only about 15% of what they're set to pass on in the next 10 to 12 years. We all know a lot has changed since 2010. Today, there are more than 10 times the number of female CEOs on the Fortune 500 list than there were in 2010. Yay. We are also taking up more than 3 times the number of corporate board seats. And, this is a good one, in 2010, Forbes made their list of the world's richest self-made female billionaires. In the entire world in 2010, there were 13. This year, just in the US alone, that number was almost doubled. Women in 2023 have more money, more influence, and more power than we have ever had before. That is a reason to celebrate. I'm sure you knew this was coming, but there's a flip side. Because even though so many of us are out-earning our male spouses and partners, in a recent study of over 800 couples, of the female breadwinners, only half of them said that they were also comfortable making financial decisions in their family. That means there is half of us who are making the money that supports our family, but we're not comfortable planning for what it will do to work for us when we retire. That's a problem. Also, even though we are taking up more seats in C-suites and boardrooms, we're still only making 82 cents for every dollar that our male peers make. And finally, we control over 80% of where all consumer spending dollars go. But the majority of women still say that we are unsure of our financial plan or we don't have one at all. It's time to change that. So maybe we start talking with our girlfriends. We're not talking at wine night or bunko or lunches about things like investments and retirement savings. It can feel weird, but we need to start. We are dreading or avoiding altogether conversations at home with our male spouses or partners. And while 77% of women say that we're comfortable talking with a doctor, less than a third of us say we're comfortable speaking with our financial advisor. Now, there may be some of you in the room who are doing all of this, and that's great, but I promise that there is a woman in your life who means something to you who isn't, who's living in silence or doesn't even know where to start. And if you're thinking, okay, she's making sense, but everything's going really well right now and I don't want to think about it. Okay, I get it. But the best time to think about what you could do to prepare for something that comes out of left field when you don't expect it, and it will happen to all of us, remember, we are going to outlive the men, is now. It's when everything's going right. And finally, if you are a cynic and you say that talking is not going to solve anything, I'm going to push back on that too. I have seen, in my experience, both personally and professionally, that when women get together and start talking, it can be incredibly powerful, if not life-changing. And no, I didn't always think that way. I was born and raised in the 70s and 80s in a very traditional upper middle class family. My dad went to work every day, he paid the bills, he decided where all of the family's financial resources were gonna go, and we never talked about it. We had a great childhood, and I was close with both of my parents, but I wanted to be just like my mom. That's all I wanted. So it was no surprise to anyone, myself included, that at the young age of 23, I walked down the aisle for the first time, and I moved straight from my parents' house into my husband's house, where he made the money, paid the bills, and decided how all of our financial resources would be allocated. We were young and not ready to start a family, so I decided I'd get a job. And I landed in the financial services industry, not because of my interest in money, but because I was in the right place at the right time. We knew someone who was hiring trainees in a career where they were desperate for more women. So I took the challenge, and I liked it, and I did really well. I had early success in my career, and I loved working with people and learning more about the markets, yet my desire to be a mom like my mom was so much stronger than any desire I had to be a career woman. And I didn't think at the time that I could be both. So, shortly before the birth of my twins, I left the corporate world and landed right back on the path I had always dreamed I'd be. Driving my Suburban, holding my babies, and abdicating all financial decisions to my husband. Like many moms do, I got into a routine. I got up with the sun, fed babies, wiped butts, tried to get a shower in every now and then, that was more rare than I expected, and tried to keep the house clean and food on the table just like my mom, which I also wasn't great at. But it became my life, and that's what I thought it would always be. My access to money during those years, however, was not something I had considered. And it came in the form of a credit card. And I would use this card to do everything, anything that we needed funds for. So clothes for the kids, clothes for me, household items, entertainment, you name it. And at the end of the month, my husband would disappear into this secret room in our house to pay bills. We all knew to leave. And as long as my credit card spending that month wasn't beyond what he expected it to be, we really didn't talk about money at all. It was quiet. That might have happened like 1 month. So when it was more than he expected it to be, or when maybe he didn't make as much as he expected, or for whatever reason there was some sort of financial stress, that resulted in stress in our household, which I'm sure everyone can relate to. And money stress is tough on everyone in the family. It's even tougher when there's a pile of other stresses going on. So the longer this went on, the more fearful I got, the more inward I spent my time, and the more I tried to avoid these conversations at all costs. But I was scared. I didn't know where our money was. I didn't know how I would access it. So one day, the kids and I were at Target, and we were checking out, and I saw the gift cards that they have at the checkout, and I threw a couple in my cart. Not because I needed gifts. Remember, I was an educated woman with 2 years in finance under my belt, and I thought these gift cards were my solution. If I could stash away gift cards, then the months that I went over, I could say, oh, we needed more household items. We needed more diapers. Something caused that Target bill to be more. But these gift cards would be on the side as a savings plan for me, in case something happened to my husband, or God forbid, he cut me off altogether. I think we all know this wasn't a great plan. So there's only so many gift cards you can buy at Target. So this went on for longer than it should have, but the longer it went on, the worse I felt about myself. I felt alone, I felt depressed, there was other stresses going on, and let's just say that that chapter did not have the fairy tale ending we expected it to. So let's fast forward to today, skip the middle part. Today, I have been divorced, no surprise. I am remarried, and I came back into an industry that I had left for almost 10 years and have since built a practice that I am so proud of that is more fulfilling and more successful than anything I ever could have dreamed. And I'm an okay mom, too. But I still talk with women every day who are living the way I was for so long. These are not powerless women. Women at all levels of income and authority and education still struggle with money and the topics of finance in their own homes. I see the difference in the way that men and women approach money conversations every day. I'll tell you one more story. I have a client. She is at the top of her game. She is extremely successful in her career. She is the breadwinner, and in most cases, she's the financial decision maker too. But every time she calls me, the conversation starts like this: I'm sorry. I'm like, okay, what are you sorry for? I'm sorry for taking your time. Well, you paid me for this time, so I'm here. I'm sorry, I know I've asked you this question before. I should know the answer. Okay. I'm sorry I have to ask your advice on something like this. You're paying me for the advice. So we get through it, and there's a few more apologies for God knows what else. My male clients, they call me anytime about anything, maybe not even related to finance. And when I pick up the phone at noon from my kid's soccer game on a Saturday, there's no time wasted with apologies. They get straight to the question, I usually have an answer, and we all go about our day. The difference here is men feel worthy in being in these conversations because they have been in it for so long. Remember this, back in 2010, out of the 500 largest companies in the world, 1% were run by a female. We haven't been in executive comp conversations. We haven't talked about private equity or investments or any of these things, let alone figured out where our space is in our home. But I'm telling you, it is here and it is now, because I know, and I think you all know too, that when women decide that we want to do something and we start talking about it, that happens. I left a word out, but you know what I'm saying. It happens. So let's just think about that for a second. For so many years, things that no one wanted to talk about happened behind closed doors in Hollywood. And when women decided that they had had enough, and that they wanted to start talking about it, and more women joined in that conversation, they didn't just change their own lives and the lives of the women in Hollywood. They changed the trajectory of women in the market, in the career world, everywhere. It was a conversation that started a movement, and now we all have them to thank for that. So imagine how we can start talking and create that kind of change. And I know I focus all on the women, but there's a few men in here. I know there's one, at least. He better be here. But we need men too. We need men who advocate for us behind closed doors. Yep. We need men who think about us when they're in places where women still don't tend to be. Golf course, hunting lodge, sporting events. But if you work with a woman and a deal pops up and you come back into the office, the value in the different mindset and the different way we think and solve problems is so much that everybody wins when you bring us in on a deal, right? And we need men that look at us and treat us and act as equal partners in our own homes. We can't carry the load for everything. So we need you too, men. If it were not for a man in my industry that I had been gone from for almost 10 years, possibly some of the most formative years in the financial world, who saw something in me and gave me the opportunity to come back, I don't know where I would be today, but I know this would not be the spot I'd be standing on. And if it weren't for my amazing, supportive, wonderful husband, who allows me to lead our team in the office and is a true partner in our home so I can pursue my passions outside of work, I wouldn't be able to tell you that you can go from hoarding gift cards to being here, helping women find their voice and start talking about money.